Well, hello, this is David McElroy for Income Alternatives. Welcome to the webinar. We're glad to have you here today. We're going to cover a lot of excellent information. There is a huge amount of information packed into this hour or so. So do turn off your cell phones, shut down your email, get rid of your distractions, stay focused. I promise you it will be worth your time. We're going to talk about designing success strategies for 2014. We got a new year just around the corner. Time to line up your thoughts to make 2014 your best year ever. Here's what we'll be covering today: the leading causes of business failure, accessing success thinking, unlocking your creativity, finding your ideal clients, and generating lots of leads fast. We want you to make more money in less time while having a lot more fun. This is about taking your business to the next level of success. Hey, here's a shocking number for you. Bloomberg report: 80% of new businesses fail within 18 months. Boy, that's a heartbreaker. Going to all that work and trouble of getting your business set up and started and dumping your life savings into it, in many cases borrowing money from people and going out of business in 18 months. So why does that happen? Well, the leading causes of business failure are a lack of market research, no unique selling proposition, a muddy message, one that's not understood by the potential customers that you have, weak leadership, yikes, that comes right back home. That's you or me, that's who's running the company. And then lack of capital and poor planning. So not in tune with the market, though you would think that the big companies would never make this mistake, but let's look at several examples of how easy it is to misjudge what someone thinks or what a company believes is their market. We're going to take a look at Smith & Wesson, mountain bikes, Cosmopolitan yogurt, Cosmopolitan magazine yogurt, Lifesavers, the candy you used to have when you were a kid and still available now, soda, Coors Rocky Mountain Spring Water, Coors the beer company, and Colgate Kitchen Entries. That's like TV dinners from Colgate. Now, as I went through this, you might say, I've never heard of those products from those companies. Well, the reason you haven't is they were dismal failures. They did not understand their market. They wasted their money and time, and these products all failed. When you think of Smith & Wesson, do you think of mountain bikes? No, you think of guns. Well, Smith & Wesson came out with a line of bicycles, which they originally sold to the police department. And because police departments bought guns, they easily were targets for buying bikes. You probably see police officers riding around on these bikes in the nice times of the year. We see them here in Dallas often. Our weather is very nice here. Officers driving around on shorts and their bikes on Lake Patrol or various places downtown. So that product sold well to police departments, but it flopped on the open market. Your general bicycle buyer did not think of Smith & Wesson when it came to thinking of bikes. Here's another one, Cosmopolitan yogurt. We have all heard of Cosmopolitan magazine. You probably have read one while you're sitting in your dentist's office or your doctor's office if you don't have a subscription to it, or a woman in your home that gets it. But have you ever seen Cosmopolitan yogurt? No, because when people think of magazines, even though it's about pretty girls and healthy people, you don't think of yogurt, and that product flopped. How about Lifesavers? Boy, I used to have those in church. I can remember eating a whole pack while I was waiting for the church service to go by when I was a little boy. And I don't remember ever seeing Lifesavers soft drink, soda, pop, we call it. In fact, my gosh, maybe if the all colors were like this, maybe that's part of the reason why. But that product flopped. They did not understand their market. Here's another one. When I was a professional musician years and years ago, I came across Coors beer when I was playing in Colorado on a road trip, and it was phenomenal. And Coors has done well for itself. Now it's available all over the world as well as all over the United States. Well, at that time, you could only get it in Colorado, a few limited places. So we brought back cases of it to Minnesota and drank it for weeks afterwards. Well, they thought since they have nice, clear mountain spring water, that Coors Rocky Mountain sparkling water would be a hit. No, you haven't heard of it? Wasn't a hit. It was a flop. Here's another one that I don't know why they even come up with this. When I think of Colgate, I think of brushing my teeth. I don't think of eating food. It seems backwards to me. Well, most people must have thought that as well, because you have never seen a Colgate kitchen entree, like TV dinner, on the marketplace. I know I haven't. Maybe you have. If you do, it's a collector's item. So once we have done the market research and understand our market and know there is a market for us, the next thing we need to do is we need to be unique. We need to be understood. We need to have a unique selling proposition. There is no sense going into a market where there is no competition, because the reason there is no competition is there's no money to be made there. That doesn't mean that you can't be ahead of the competition. You can, but in markets that are lucrative, there's plenty of competition. And to win in a competitive market, you have to have a unique selling proposition, a reason why people should come to you, why you stand out above your competition, and answer the question, are you worth it? If they do recognize you, are you worth it? So if you're going to be a top tier provider, which is what I'm going to recommend for most of you, that instead of competing on price, you compete on value, I'm going to suggest that you need a strong, clear, unique selling proposition. Here's some companies with excellent, outstanding, unique selling propositions. Toombs Shoes, Mast Brothers Chocolate, Far Beyond the Stars, and Kaiba or Kiba. Cool one for Toombs Shoes. My ex-wife just loves these shoes. And their cool claim to fame, their uniqueness, is they give away a pair of shoes to a needy child for every pair that's sold. That is really cool. I don't know any other companies that do that. And Mast Brothers Chocolate, you may not have seen their chocolate or heard of them, but their idea is to offer handmade 1800s, high quality, crafted chocolate, all made by hand. As a matter of fact, you can see they kind of dress up like the 1800s. And this ship is here because they actually have wooden ships that sail across the seas to get the ingredients for their chocolate to stay with that old world high craft idea. You'll probably be hearing more from them. They are on the grow. Here's one, Far Beyond the Stars. This was a website or a blog that was originally set up that offered strategies for working less. It was one of the precursors of the 4-hour work week. I think it was 4-hour work week. Well, this guy did so well that you can't even find his blog anymore because he's in retirement. He got an incredible number of subscribers and made so much money and lived so austere that he no longer has to work. So Far Beyond the Stars, another example of an excellent unique selling proposition. Here is Kaiba, or yes, Kaiba we'll call it. What they are really, really cool and known for having done, for those of you that have come across them, is they have put together a lending facility that lends money to small entrepreneurial businesses all over the world, particularly in third world countries or underdeveloped countries. They have done $100 million of loans, this small entrepreneurial firm, since 2005. And they have had a positive impact on the lives of many, offering people from all over the world in small villages a chance to capitalize their small company, get it off the ground, and be successful. Great, unique selling proposition. Well, once you have picked the market and targeted it properly, done your research so you know that there is actually a consumer for what it is that you're bringing, and then you have gotten a unique selling proposition so you can stand above the crowd, well, what's left? None of that matters if you don't have clarity of message. We used to think that a person's attention could encompass 5 to 7 items at one time. Well, it's been found recently that that is not really accurate, that it's actually less than that, less than half of that, 2 to 3 items at a time. And we are in an age where we are inundated with advertising and demands on our attention. Maybe that's the reason for our dropped attention span. And to rise above that din, not only do you have to have a unique selling proposition, but you have to have a succinct message and be pursuing your right specific target niche. The reason you have to do target marketing is it costs so much to get your message in front of an audience, and you pay for the size of the audience. The bigger the audience, more expensive. I used to do advertising on the Oprah Winfrey Show years ago, and it cost $2,000 to $4,000 in the 90s to do a 30-second spot on Oprah because of all the millions of people that were watching. And that was just advertising in my local market. And I had the experience in the mortgage business of spending that $2,000 to $4,000 for a 30-second spot and not getting a single call. We had misread that niche market and thought that people wanted to refinance their homes that were following that show. And they certainly didn't want to do it with us. So that was a waste of money. We misread it and our message didn't get through. You have to have an attention-getting headline. These are some examples that I got from a copy company that they use that they've had high-tested success. So you fill in the blank of what you think fits you. Who else wants? Who else wants to have 10% body fat or whatever it would be? How about the secret of making more money in less time and having more fun? Here's a method helping people lose lots of weight to the easiest way in life. Here is little-known ways to save more money, little-known ways to increase your IQ, little-known ways to read faster, study less, get better grades, whatever would go there. Get rid of the heartbreak of psoriasis for once and for all. I might be dating myself. That was a big one on television when I was a kid. The heartbreak of psoriasis, a little skin rash or flakiness that can be quite a nuisance. How you can have blank and blank. How you can have your cake and eat it too. We've all heard of that one, haven't we? So you have to have attention-getting headlines. I'm not suggesting that these would be the ones you would use, but just some samples to get your thinking going. Capital. Boy, I can't tell you the number of small entrepreneurs that I've seen go into business and not even have a business plan. I'm not talking about something long and complex, but just something short and to the point. You know, one of the most important parts of the business plan, which is understanding your basic overhead, is understanding cash flow. Here's the deal with cash flow. You can have a profitable business, but if you don't understand the period of time from when you spend money on your overhead, on your advertising, to when you get a customer, and then when that customer goes through your sales funnel to buy something so you get paid, and if there's upsells, how fast those upsells come, you can actually have a profitable business on paper, but go out of business because you run out of money. Also, it's not uncommon for young startup businesses to squeeze their margin, to take their margin of profit down so low that they actually lose money to put sales on the books. The smaller your profit margin and the smaller the price of your product, the more likely it is it actually costs you more money to put a customer on the books than you actually make. And the only way that you can stay in business is by the upsales, the follow-up sales to the customer, which is why it's so important to have a low overhead and a great follow-up system. I don't know if you know this or not, but 80% of the sales are made between the 5th and 12th follow-up, and statistics show us that most companies, most salespeople don't follow up more than 1 or 2 times. So only about 1 to 3% of the sales are done in the first sales call or 2. Most of them, the real success is on the back end. You've got to have a great back end system. Leadership. Wow, this is where it gets painful. Well, I've had this experience myself in the past when I was a younger man, when I had a lot of drive, a lot of energy, but I was stubborn and I didn't think I needed to learn anything about myself personally. I certainly had no empathy. Empathy is understanding how other people think and feel. Consequently, I was always under high stress, and for those of you that are living in stress, what you probably notice is you don't sleep well, you don't digest your food well, you're angry a lot, and you're often blaming. As long as you are blaming, that means that you are at effect instead of cause. Let me suggest something to you. You'd be better off accepting responsibility for everything that happens than blaming others. Let me tell you why. As long as somebody else needs to do something or the world needs to change for you to be okay, you are at the effect of what happens to you instead of in control. I'm not suggesting that unfair things don't happen to people from time to time. What I am suggesting that you need to focus on what you can control, not what you can't, and you need to take responsibility to be successful. You need to go through personal growth. There is no leader of major companies with huge success that haven't gone through huge personal growth themselves. You should be reading every day. You should be taking personal growth classes. You should have a coach. You should have a mentor. In fact, I just finished a book by Gary Keller, the very successful realtor that started Keller Williams. And in this book, it's called The One Thing. It's a Wall Street Journal bestseller, as well as a number of other bestseller lists. He says it's imperative that you grow yourself. And in this example, he shows an entrepreneur that has lots of natural skill, but never really develops himself beyond their natural. And they keep banging up a ceiling of maximum productivity or success because of their skills that they have naturally. And they bang against that ceiling until they get tired and fall back. They bang against it and fall back until finally they think this isn't worth it. They get frustrated. They see something else and they say, that must be it. I'm going to pursue that. I'm going to leave this behind. So they continuously change from business to business, opportunity to opportunity, never really getting down to the root cause of their failure, which is them. You need to develop personally. Driving exceptional results don't happen by accident. Career review. You need to break this down. You need to review the course of your day at the end of each day. Spend a few minutes looking over what you planned to do, what happened, what you did well, what you didn't do so well, and what you're going to do about it tomorrow. You need to review once a day, then once a week, once a month, once a quarter, and at the end of the year. I recommend at the end of the year that you take all your review notes and that you take a couple of days away from the office, maybe get away on a short vacation, and look at what happened, compare it to where you planned on going, and plan out your following year. I got to tell you this, if you aren't passionate about what you're doing, if you aren't on purpose working in a field where your goals for life are aligned with the work you're doing, your work will not have meaning. You will get burned out. You will get frustrated. You can only push yourself by force of will so long before you can no longer do it and you fall behind. So, simple question. Are you having fun? I don't mean are you walking around like you had a frontal lobotomy and you're unaware of things and just stupidly happy or out of touch. What I mean is, are you enjoying what you're doing? Here's how you know. The things that you enjoy that you're doing, time passes as if it didn't. You aren't always trying to quit. You aren't trying to get away from it. You aren't trying to be done with it. I'm not suggesting you don't need breaks to stay fresh. Of course you do. But if you are working in your area of passion like I am with these courses that I'm sharing with you, I can do them for hours. I wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning excited about researching and reading and bringing this material to you so I can have a hand for those that are willing to do the work in changing your life for the better. That's what gets my juices running each day, and that's what I do for a living. You have to also have thoughts that you put into action. One of the things that a very close friend of mine said about me is, Dave, one of the things that amazes me about you is you have lots of ideas. Most of them are stupid, and we kind of laughed about that. But the ones that are good are absolutely phenomenal. He said he had never met anybody that can take thoughts into action and make things happen better than me. It's because I'm not afraid to make mistakes. And the reason I'm not afraid to make mistakes is because I believe in myself. And oddly enough, since I started writing this course and really got down to what causes success, it's actually transformed me personally, and I've become a better version of myself. I've raised my belief through visualization, through goal setting, through all the things that I'm teaching you in this short vignette today. So, failing your way to success, boy, that's what I have done my entire life. I've always been willing to take risks, and I drive myself emotionally. I drive myself with passion. Everybody makes decisions emotionally, and then they justify them rationally. If you can't reach somebody emotionally, it's very difficult to get them to buy anything of substantial cost from you, unless it's just some cheap item. And to learn, you have to have maximum iterations. To learn how to play guitar, I practiced thousands of hours, the same scales and chords and progressions over and over and over again. What maximum iterations do for you is it makes you automatic. It makes you skilled so that under stress, and show business has stress. When you're entertaining and up in front of people, things are going wrong. Audiences aren't behaving the way you want them to. And if you haven't drilled your core skills, they will let you down when you need them. That's why professional athletes hire coaches and train and drill so that in the middle of the game, when the stress is on, they default back to what they have drilled in themselves that has become a pattern. You need to be willing to fail. You need to enjoy discovery. Thomas Edison's famous quote about having failed at creating the light bulb, whatever number of times that was, several thousand. And he said he didn't fail at creating a light bulb. He found several thousand ways he couldn't create it before he did. So you have to be focused on growth and learning. There's a book out by David Kelly called Creative Confidence, another book I've read recently. Highly recommend it. His brother Tom Kelly is in business with him. They have the famous design studio, IDEO, which did a lot of the design work for Steve Jobs on the Apple computers. What is so cool about Creative Confidence is they are so sought after in this school, IDEO, that it's not even accredited. That students that go there don't even get credit for going, but it is such an experience. It transforms lives in such a way that they pay the money, go to the course, and dedicate time to that course because they discover engineers who you would think were so ensconced in inflexibility that they couldn't be creative anymore, discover that they are. So creative confidence can be built with practice. I recommend highly you read that book, Creative Confidence by David and Tom Kelly. Boy, balance, rhythm, and rest. You have to learn to pace yourself. If you're running a marathon, and let's face it, building a business and life is a marathon. It is not a sprint. You can't burn yourself out without rest. You need to have balance. As a matter of fact, I used to practice to distraction. I used to push myself so hard on guitar that I would actually practice so hard I'd actually go backwards in skill. And the reason that happened is because I did mass practice rather than distributed practice. In distributed practice, you balance practice on complex things with short breaks and a rest to refresh yourself. If you've ever watched athletes working out in a gym, they do sets. Maybe you do the same thing. I know I do when I work out. You do 3 sets of 10 or 15 or 20 or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, and you take a little rest in between to let your body recoup and recover. In a really good physical fitness program, you do different exercises on different days of the week. You do backs and shoulders and legs at different times, aerobics at different times. And when it's properly balanced, that's why you need a professional to do it right. With diet, you get amazing results. So you maximize results by balancing things, getting input, and doing things right. Take little steps. In goal setting, one of the things that I have learned is you need to have huge long-term goals. One of my long-term goals is to have a $1 billion holding company that holds ownership of 50 smaller companies, all owned and managed by successful entrepreneurs that are focused on personal growth and excellence with low turnover and high customer satisfaction. You need to have small measured milestones on the way. So I have daily milestones. One of my milestones today was to do this slide presentation in PowerPoint for you so that it would be ready. And that has led to the creation of modules of my course. That has led to creation of an entire business with partners. You have to have measured milestones along the way. You have to visualize those milestones, and we will talk about that more. And you have to have focus. You have to focus on one thing at a time. In Gary Keller's book, one of the huge points that he makes is singular focus on one thing at a time in order to be successful. Let's talk about belief. Who's this laughing guy here? This is Einstein. Do you know that his teachers told his parents that he would never be successful in school, that they should get him into a trade school because he was a dummy. He lacked intellectual capability. Michael Jordan, it was suggested to him that he forget about playing basketball because he had no talent. But he got a mentor. That mentor saw something in him, and he drilled and practiced and set goals and became arguably perhaps the best basketball player that ever lived. How about me? Let me tell you something. When I was a little boy, 9 years old, I was in 3rd grade, and I decided I wanted to play an instrument, and I picked the upright bass, the big giant bass with the 4 strings that stands up and plays with a bow. And my mother was told not to let me play an instrument because I had absolutely no rhythm. I was tone deaf, and it would be nothing but a miserable failure for me to attempt to do so. Fortunately for me, my mom didn't tell me that, and I ended up playing guitar for a living for 10 years. I was a professional musician. Many other professional musicians told me that I had high skills, that they admired my capability. All the guys I played in bands with were forever amazed at what I was able to do. Well, my mom one day told me, she said, Dave, I wanted to share with you, I see you've gone on to be a professional musician. I wanted to share with you that your early teachers, the people that tested you, said you should never be a musician because you had no talent, you were tone deaf, and you couldn't hold a rhythm. And what was interesting after she told me that is it actually caused I got a brain block, and it made it hard for me to play for a while. My skills actually dropped backwards. So belief is an incredibly powerful tool that has everything to do with your success. And there are methods that you can use. There are skills that you can practice for visualization that can allow you to develop phenomenal belief-altering skills to change and transform your life. Is it real or imagined? We've all heard of David Copperfield, haven't we? Well, here David has an airplane. This picture's kind of small, but these are people with blindfolds on, and they're holding hands. And he's going to lift this front of this box cover up, and then he's going to make that airplane disappear. Did he really make the airplane disappear? Because it looked like it in the video I looked at. Or was it illusion? So the question you might ask yourself is it possible that you believe things to be true, that there is a puzzle piece missing in your business, and that's why you're not able to move forward? What are your hardest challenges? Do they need to be challenges? Can they really be something for which there's an answer? Changing belief is possible with the right skills. So what's holding you back? Are you hitting a ceiling? Here's a picture of a woman hitting a glass ceiling, kind of a classic example, happening less today than it used to, but certainly still true. Are you working too many hours? My solution always used to be work more hours. And what happens when you work too many hours? You get burned out. And after a while, if you're under high stress and you're working too many hours and you're inefficient, you get run down and tired and drinking too much coffee. Or you can start feeling bored. You can start feeling like you're running in place, like you're under challenged and usually frustrated. What's holding you back? The power of no. Everything that I've read in time management, if you set aside all the complicated methods that are out there and get down to focusing, as Gary Keller would say, on the one thing, you have to be willing to say no. You have to get control of your time. Chet Holmes, a brilliant strategist and business development person that has partnered with Tony Robbins. He's got an excellent consulting company. Unfortunately, Chet passed away in 2013 at a very young age. He has a book out called Relentless Focus on 12 Strategies, The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. Another one I recommend highly, national bestseller. And he talks about time management and saying no. He talks about getting rid of the just a minute meeting when people just walk up to your office and say just a minute and cause that to be scheduled so it goes away. He's done phenomenal things with his method. I recommend reading that book and using those to build your business. So don't do what you don't enjoy. Hire someone to do it. Things that make you feel resentful, that you always try to avoid, you need to outsource that. And you need to focus on what you do best. Let me tell you something. There's too much focus on trying to take what you're no good at and become a master of it. And let's say you're a 2 or a 3 at something and you spend the rest of your life pouring energy into trying to become better. What statistics show us is that 2 or 3 might take you to become a 3 or a 4 or maybe a 5, which makes you mediocre. Nobody makes big money or gets recognized for being mediocre. What you better do is outsource those things, hire other people to do it, or get a partner that's good at that, and focus on what you do best, stuff that you're already a 7 or an 8 on, that you can take to a 9 or a 10. Lots of money and recognition and success goes to 9 and 10s. So work on what you're already good at. There's a book out called Strength Finder, which is by the, what is the organization that came up with that? Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. But Strength Finder is a book that's about focusing on your strengths. Gallup, the Gallup poll organization, focusing on your strengths and growing your strengths rather than trying to work on things at which you are no good, get frustrated, and pull you behind. So, what is your calling? What excites you? What do you do to recharge? The reason I ask you what you do to recharge is generally what recharges your batteries is an arrow pointing to what you enjoy doing. What I'm doing with you right now, I would do for free. I might even pay to do it. It's so exciting to me. Every time I teach a course or do a public experience or teach people, it charges my batteries. Grant you have to take care in who you take on as a client so that they will do the work and grow and become something spectacular so that they give you back the energy. One of the things I enjoyed about playing guitar for a living was being in front of a great audience. That excited me. I worked for practically nothing for 10 years because I love being in the clubs and playing for people so much, and practiced for hours and hours and hours and hours to achieve mastery of that instrument. You have to be excited about what you're doing to do that. The reason Einstein was able to do what he did, Michael Jordan, what he did, what I did in my limited area, music, was because I was passionate and excited about it. Oh, here we go. We've got the man himself. This is Kelly that came out with the book Creative Confidence that I was already talking about. Oh, and incidentally, I did find that book, Strength Finders 2.0 by Tom Rath, which is also #1 seller by the Wall Street Journal. I recommend you pick it up. That's the one from the Gallup organization. Great tool. Kelly talks about the power of mastermind, brainstorming, little successes, expanding your network. As you draw together, to bring this project to you, I was originally going to do it by myself when my thinking was limited. And I decided what I needed to do instead was reach out to others and bring their skill set to my table, have me do what I do best. And the project absolutely exploded with growth and took on a life of its own. It went from being something that I was excited about, but really getting drugged down in the labor of things at which I was not good, into things that were exciting for me, like doing this presentation for you right now. So it doesn't have to be hard. You want to streamline and simplify things. Let me tell you something. If you looked at your book of business and looked carefully, you would find that 20% of your time is spent on things that bring you 80% of your income. 20% of your clients bring you 80% of your income. Take control of your business. You could actually get rid of 80% of your clients and be better off. Well, you don't want to do that carelessly, and we'll talk about that in other modules. Read positive things every day. Get off the darn news. What do they put in the news? Houses burning down, people getting killed, raped, murdered, stolen from, going out of business. Read some positive things. I got stacks of books that are all around me. There's a new one out here called David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. He's the one that wrote Tipping Point. Another excellent book. I got another book here given to me by a friend. It's called 212, The Extra Degree. And it's how you take something from 211 to 212, the boiling point, and really make a difference in your life. Or another book, Mandela's Way, 15 Lessons of Life. In fact, this book was recommended to me because I read another book by Richard Branson about Business Strip Bear, another great book. And he was the one that recommended Mandela's Way, which is by Richard Stengel. So these are just a small handful of books. It's my goal to read one book every week about positive, transforming things, and write down your plans the night before. So the night before, write down your plans for the next day. Chet Holmes recommends in his book that you keep that list down to 6, that you set ahead of time the amount of time you're going to spend at it. I think that Yeah, the book by Gary Keller said it's imperative that you spend 4 hours a day on your one thing if you really want to accomplish it. And he's got some great arguments in that book why that makes sense. You want to write down short-term and long-term goals. The reason you need the short-term goals is you need to see you're accomplishing things. A friend of mine told me that every time he accomplished a short-term goal, his next day in the visualization that he did when he first woke up, which I highly recommend, he would say that was easy, and then he would write a larger goal, a stretch goal. So the goal can be uncomfortable, but make sure you have a series of short-term goals. When I do long-distance running, I get tired sometimes, and I start to fatigue and think, oh, this is going to take too long to finish. When I do that, I look forward 100 yards and I find a telephone pole or a road sign and I say, you know what, I can make it to there. And when I get there, I go to another road sign, I go to another marker, and before I know it, the entire run is completed. So you have to have little successes along the way. Visualization, first thing when you wake, absolutely important. And what goes along with that is only working with ideal clients. Do you know you can actually decide which clients you're going to get? When I first started in the mortgage business, I was frantic. I needed money, and I solicited, pounding on real estate doors, banging through the front desk and going into the back. And I did it from 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. As soon as offices would open, I'd drive all over the city of Dallas and Fort Worth and just impose myself on agents until I finally started getting business after about 6 weeks of doing that. Unfortunately, I had no sifting mechanism. I didn't have an ideal client model, and I took in a huge amount of business, got so busy I stopped soliciting, and I became a prisoner of my business. So don't let that happen to you. I made a correction along the way. Finding ideal clients. So you need to know where they hang out. What do they look like? What do they like? There's a picture here of finding the right match for you. That's why I got that match there. What do they seek? What do they want? How do they think? You need to go and build a business by design. See that? Wanted to let you take a look at that for a minute. You need traffic. What is traffic? Traffic is response to your advertising. And you need to do targeted advertising to keep your traffic affordable. When you're looking for ideal clients, you want to advertise only to those audiences that contain your ideal clients, and you want to run them through a sales funnel designed to sift out the unideal. You can do free social media marketing. That's if you have more time than money. Free social media marketing, I can teach you how to post in front of thousands of people very efficiently, but it does take hours of time if you're going to do it manually. It's hard to get started, it's hard to maintain, and it's extremely demanding. You can get a pace going that's hard to maintain, and without maintenance and long term, the whole thing falls apart, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or other social media sites. Paid marketing, you can do Google PPC, pay per click. That means every time someone clicks on your ad or your link, you pay a fee for it. And the more targeted the link and the more demand there is for that particular click or person, the higher you have to pay. Bing has the same thing, pay per click. You can do banner ads on blogs or websites. When someone sees the ad, they click on it. You can pay a fee by the month or by the week or by the click for that. You can also do solo ads. Solo ads allow you to advertise to someone else's list. So someone else has built a list of 10, 20, 30,000 people that are interested in whatever, real estate, home-based business, health, losing weight. And if you are in a market that appeals to that, you can pay a fee to the owner of that list to have an ad sent to them about your product, have them click through on the link that's in that list, go to your website, put them in your sales funnel, and follow up with them. You can always do direct mail. Direct mail has been around forever. It is much less effective than it used to be. Postage rates and costs have gone up, and pull-through has gone down. It's getting more expensive. I have a substantial direct mail campaign going for one of my clients right now. We do 20,000 pieces a month. It's costing a lot of money to do that, but we have a high margin product, so long term it's going to make sense, and we plan on taking about a year to make it work. So direct mail can work. I've built several businesses to huge success. My ex-wife still has a $120,000 a year business that we started with direct mail. We mailed for about 18 months and haven't mailed since, and she's still making a living at that. TV can be great, but I told you about my Oprah experience. The cost of television and radio advertising has quadrupled, and the effectiveness has gone down by about 2/3. So what I used to spend $50,000 a month advertising on television and radio would probably need to be about $200,000 now, and it's much less effective than it used to be because of the internet and cable television and YouTube and Hulu and computerized flow television and shows and all of those things. So paid social media, you can do it with Twitter. They've just started releasing it on Pinterest. You can do it on LinkedIn. You can do it on Facebook and many others to choose from. Let's take a quick look at Facebook paid marketing. The cool thing about Facebook is since they just went public in February of 2013, they have just started focusing on having to make money now that they have stockholders. And we're going to talk about promoted posts. We're going to talk about the Power Editor. We're going to talk about newsfeed ads, desktop only, no mobile, niche-specific targeting to go after your ideal client. And then one of the latest things they came out with on Facebook is social graph, where you can actually go granular on your search. So you can find out people that like a particular page or particular need that also like to read a certain book. So targeted interest, Facebook social graph, really cool. I just started using this. You can look up all the members of a particular page, and then you can dig through that homepage and do further research and find out what else they like. Here's what that looks like. I've done a search here in this target, people who like, here we go, people who like Dallas, Texas, people who like Online Entrepreneur Mastermind Group. That's one of my companies. So I did a search for that. And then I said people that do that who also like a particular book, people who like, and then if I click this down, I could say people who like this site who also like to read Think and Grow Rich or one of these other books here, and get my target even down. Now the reason I would pick Think and Grow Rich if I'm selling personal development like we have here is because I have found, and statistics will tell you, that people that read are into personal growth, particularly books like Think and Grow Rich. Other targeted research tools are Google Search, where you can select a topic, you can do the search, you can copy the URL, the actual web address, then you can go to Alexa or SEMrush. Both of these sites allow you to find out whoever goes to that particular page that you've looked up, what the demographic of that group looks like. So here we are doing a search for weight loss on Google. These up here in yellow are paid advertising. If we go down to this first one that's not paid, weight loss and diet plans, and we click on that, we get this address. And if we copy that URL, WebMD is a big one, and we go over to Alexa, one of the two companies I mentioned where you can do research, and we copy that address here in Alexa, and it will give us this information about the people that subscribe or go to that site. We can see that it's red means down or less or under the average, and green, this is female. So what this means here is the gender that goes to that site are largely female. Very few of them have no college. A large number have some college. Very few of them have graduate school. And this mark on college is because if you look about where they're searching, they're actually searching from school, and that would tell me that they're searching from school because they're in school. It also tells you that 57% of the people are from the United States. Now the reason this is important is the United States is probably the most moneyed culture on the planet. We have a huge consumer spending appetite here, so you're going to make big money here. One of the consultants that I took a training from cost $8,000 to take his training. It was worth every penny of it. 90% of his clients, although he lives in England, are in the United States because we spend money here. So where do you start? You start by looking at Facebook newsfeed ads that appear on your page. And you can tell that it's an ad because it's over on the right-hand side. Or if it's in the center newsfeed, if you look down below in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see it's sponsored. And you want to find those ads that have been around for a period of time. An ad that comes up for a short period of time and then disappears, well, that means they didn't make any money. They canceled the ad, so it's not one you want to copy. So once you have a few ads that were successful, you'll have your own. But find the winning ads, use those as ideas of what might work. So test for only one interest at a time. So maybe you'd run a test for an interest of people that like Think and Grow Rich, if we use that example. And test only for Think and Grow Rich as an interest, because you can select specific interests. Target only one interest at a time. Well, once you've found interests that work, then what you're able to do is combine those interests into one targeted group and run an ad of all the interests that work to all those targeted groups. The reason you want to do that is you want to get your group up large enough. Ideally, you want to get your group up to 250,000 to 500,000 gross people or members to that group to run your ad, because you're only getting a small percentage of the people in any given group at any time to click through to your link. Another great person for personal development, of course, is Anthony or Tony Robbins, and that's why he's in this example as well. Here's an example of an ad that I thought was very effective. This guy whispering in her ear, "Can you keep a secret?" The 5-minute marketing Leadpages.net. Leadpages is one of the landing page providers that I use. They are absolutely phenomenal. We'll talk about that more on another slide. So this is a real effective ad. I see a lot of ads from this company, so I saved this ad as an example of one that might be good. It has a good graphic, has good attention getting here, has a link to their website up here so that people will know they want to click on it. I have run them without this up here, and what happens is sometimes people will give you a like and they never click through to your link. So Facebook Newsfeed Ad Center, here's an example of some of the feedback that you can get from looking at those campaigns, and here's an ad copy of something that runs in the middle of the page where you get your news feeds. And you look down here, see this? Sponsored. That's how you know it's an ad. One of the problems I've had when I've run these ads is that people will give you, as I described before, lots of likes, but they'll never quite grasp that you want them to click on your link and go to your page so you can capture their email address. So the idea is not to get likes, the idea is to get people in your database. So the next is test the graphic. So if you look back on that page, we had pictures. I've tested pictures, and I can tell you it makes a huge difference. I had a graphic that I tested, had a picture of a couple of people in a sunset on the top of a mountain with their hands up, and I got incredible click-through rates on that. I ran the same ad copy, the same printed material, went to the same audience, and I got a substantially smaller click-through rate. You also want to pay attention to the number of times that your ad has been in front of people. You can get from Facebook in the ad manager the number of times members of the group have seen your ad. Once the ad gets up to 10 to 13 impressions, you're going to reach a point called ad fatigue, where people stop seeing the ad and stop responding to it, and your click-through rate's going to drop down. One of the things that you'll learn about Facebook is the more success you have, the more success they give you. So as your ads fatigue, you want to change them out, because you get poorer placement if you're a poorer quality ad, poorer quality measured by lack of response from the consumers. Advanced campaign tips. It's all right to pause a campaign. So you can set a budget and pause the campaign before it's completed, and the campaign is still technically set up to run. But if you discontinue a campaign or let it finish or expire and then start the same campaign over again, the risk that you run is it appears that before you get through the entire audience of 250,000 or 500,000, whatever it would be if you let the ad run long enough, that you actually would have some of the same people see it again before the rest of the group had a chance to see it and or respond to it once. So the key to it is target your market, Test and monitor. You don't want to spend thousands of dollars and get no sales. I would recommend testing campaigns with $25, $50, or maybe $100, following every step of the campaign. When you find one that works, here's the truth. If you run 10 campaigns well thought out, 8 or 9 of them are going to be failures. So you want to cut them short. One of them is going to be a huge success once you learn this testing method. You want to take all the money you would have continued to waste on the bad campaigns, dump it into the good one, and run it until it fatigues, and then move to the next. Target CTR, click-through rates, to shoot for. The newsfeed click-through rates to look for. Cold audience. That means they don't know you, they haven't subscribed to one of your pages, and it's desktop only. I'm going to recommend that you go desktop only rather than mobile. The reason I recommend that is unless your offer is specifically designed for mobile applications, you'll get a lot of click-through that you're going to pay for, but you won't get people doing follow-through to take advantage of your offer, whether that's giving them your email address, or whether it's subscribing or booking a webinar like this one here. You can count on a good target trying to shoot for a 1% click-through rate. Now, the reason I say 1%, or the reason I say you need such a large audience, because if only 1% of the entire audience are even going to click through to get to your landing page or your lead capture page, then not everyone that gets there is going to give you their email address, and not everyone that goes to the next step is going to do that. So it's going to get smaller and smaller percentages as it goes forward. So you need to start with a big group, have it be very targeted, get small percentages, and build a large list and follow up with that list. On the right-hand side, that's the news feeds that are over to the right here. You can look for a 2% click-through rate. It's because it's obvious those are ads, so you're going to get a larger number of click-throughs, but your overall response, if you can be successful in getting the click-through here with pull-through, might be higher here. Here's where I suggested the audience be 250 to 500,000. And you're going to get a higher click-through if they're already fans, you've sold them something, they're past clients, they already know who you are. So if you're advertising to a custom audience, someone that already knows who you are, you're going to get a substantially higher click-through rates. When you hear about these incredible click-through rates that seem staggering, it's because they are advertising to a list that already knows them. So how to get started with newsfeed ads? You need to set up a home page. You need to understand the ads manager. Need to understand the Power Editor, which incidentally only works with the Google Chrome browser. So make sure you have Google Chrome when you try to do that or it won't work. You need to set up campaigns. You need to create a campaign. You need to set up ads, and you need to create ads. So here's what it looks like. You go into create an ad, and you put in the name of whatever you're going to call that ad, and then you decide how that ad is going to draw or where you're going to send it to. In this case, we said page post, link to a website eligible for news feeds. And then down here, link to a domain name. So if you're going to put in the name of your website like letsmakemoney.com, it would only be available on the right column ads. Then down below, you pick which of your pages, which of your company pages, this is one of my companies, Innovation Coaching and Mentoring for another business that I have. And then I'm going to recommend that you click on an unpublished post. What an unpublished post allows you to do is it allows you to create a post that isn't actually published at your page. The reason you want to do this is you don't want to have 15 test ads running as posts and have your fans think, what the heck is going on here? So if you do unpublished posts, each ad can be unique and different. You can test which ones work and not fatigue or get people to opt out or pull away their likes or hide your posts because you're feeding so much of them. And you can also put in the actual URL to the landing or lead capture page you want down here. So let's take a look at this. Once you click on that, you get a choice and you can place a photo. So you select an image by clicking on that wherever you've got your image, and you install that image. I like to keep the language to English because that's all that I speak. And then you click on create a post. I like to also stay in the United States. That may or may not be appropriate for you. Here's an example of a picture that I picked. So I picked a picture of myself for this sample ad. And now I can put a post text in here. So Dave McElroy is a great guy. And click here to find out more about how this great guy can help you be more successful. And then you click Create Post. Here's an example of what that test ad would look like. So I've got my innovation coaching and mentoring page. I called this test, with a picture of me. And if you clicked on this picture, if this were an actual ad, it would take you through to whichever page I had included in here. You also can do tracking conversions. I won't show you how to do that in this one, but you can click on tracking conversions, take a code, put that into your web page. It works really well with lead pages, so you can actually see which ads are working, which click-throughs work. And you can see down here, placement. You can do it all Facebook, including newsfeed. I don't recommend that. You're going to get too wide a swap, pay too much for your clicks. Here's desktop and mobile. I already told you why not to do mobile. So I like newsfeed desktop only, and I stay away from mobile. If you're going to do mobile, do them separate. So do one for desktop only and do a separate campaign for news feed on mobile only, and make sure you've optimized it for mobile application. Next, you're going to go down and pick your audience, because remember, we're target marketing. So in this example, I have only the United States. I have ages 45 to 54, because I've decided from my research that that is the audience I want. And in this example, I only want women, because remember in the weight loss we looked at, it was primarily that site that we looked at, WebMD, was almost all women. Then here's an audience example. If we're going to look for women and then pick Tony Robbins, let's say we're selling personal development. When I put in Tony Robbins, that means everyone that likes Tony Robbins' page or Anthony Robbins would be the audience that my ad would be exposed to. In this example, you see that audience is only 50,000. So I might test for Tony Robbins and then add Brian Tracy, Robert Kiyosaki, John Maxwell, all these other people to enlarge that audience. Or I might test each one of these people that is into personal development separately, spending a small amount of money, seeing where my click-through rates work, and then combine all of them together to try to get this number up to 250,000. Next is cost per click. There are three choices: optimize CPM, cost per thousand or impressions. Don't do this, don't do this. In this one, Facebook decides for you what the cost is going to be through some formulas. In this one, you pay just for it being exposed to people, and if they don't click. In this one, you only pay for the clicks. Now you can see here, you can say, wait a minute, suggested bid price is 31 cents to 58 cents. Why am I at 95 cents? Well, because what I have found is your placement is better if Facebook likes you better. So not only do you want optimum performance, but you want them to be able to make more money on you. So I probably won't end up paying 95 cents per click. I'll probably end up paying closer to 58 or somewhere in between. But this is going to get me better placement through my research. So here are some other resources that you may find or need or find useful. Leadpages.net. Absolutely phenomenal. Rather than trying to go through with creating your own lead capture pages or landing pages, these guys, they're geniuses. And you can buy their service by the month. You can prepay it for a year. Lots of things that you can do with it. Really cool. GoToWebinar. I use that personally myself. That's what you guys are listening to this on. Highly recommend that. Also Infusionsoft, which is a lead management software for following up. One of the cool things is all three of these integrate together, which means less work for you. Jing, all the images you saw in here, I had a free image capture software called Jing, which you can look up online, which allows you to capture an image and then include that image that you found off the web. And then, of course, PowerPoint. This whole presentation was done in PowerPoint. So I hope you have enjoyed and got meaning and use out of this. It's been great to have you with me today. If you thought this was valuable, well, then I have a suggestion. I'd like to recommend a complimentary strategy session. There's absolutely no strings attached. As you notice, there was nothing that we tried to sell you here. What we're sifting for is people that we would really enjoy working with, who would also be appropriately matched for us, that we would enjoy working with. Our strategy sessions are absolutely no strings attached. They're free. They're very comprehensive, and they're one-on-ones with me. Me as your personal your personal person. You're going to discover some things about what it's going to take your business to the next level, and there's absolutely no obligation. If we decide to work together at that point and we have something that's a match for you, I'll make some suggestions. If not, we will part as friends. There is absolutely no obligation, but I guarantee you'll walk away from this session with a clearer view of what you can do in your business, what you should do in your business to take you from where you are to where you need to go to change the quality of your life. So let's book a strategy session, huh? For those of you that are excited about this, go to this link here, http://davemackonline.com/strategy-registration-form. That is your strategy application. We only book sessions for people that are qualified to have a session with us. We will only have 15 spots available because there's a limited number of these sessions that we can do on a daily, weekly basis in order to do them well. We found that if we try to do too many per day, that we fatigue and we're no longer able to really do the work that need be done. If you register for a strategy session at davemackonline.com/strategy-registration-form, FORM. Within 24 hours, we'll be back to you if you qualify to book a session. If you are not one of the first 15 people to request a session who qualifies, we'll be back to you within a few days. So please be patient if we aren't able to get to you right away. We find that we have to keep these on a very limited basis in order for them to be effective. So what you can expect the discovery session to be highly pertinent information about your business. As I told you, there is absolutely no selling taking place. Only a direct discovery process to determine if working together would make sense. Whether we are a match or not, I promise you, you will find huge value about your business in this session. So if you want to check me out, why don't you go to my Facebook page, david.d.mcelroy, and you can see a picture of me holding my sweet stepdaughter when she was about 2 years old. Or you can go to one of my fan pages for one of my businesses, which is Dave Mac 2200. Both of them facebook.com/Dave Mac 2200 or /David D. McElroy. Go ahead and book that strategy session. Go to the form, davemackonline.com/strategy-registration-form. Make Money Mastermind, another one of my organizations. So we've found that huge things happen when minds are brought together. It's one of the great principles of Think and Grow Rich that have stood the test of time. I highly recommend Masterminds. So on behalf of Income Alternatives, Make Money Mastermind, this is David McElroy. I thank you so much for your time. Go ahead, book a strategy session. Be one of the first 15 to qualify. Would welcome an opportunity to meet you, see if whether or not working together would make sense, and get an opportunity to take your business to the next level. See you online. Thank you for your time. Have a successful day. Oh, still there? Why don't you go ahead and register for a strategy session? Fill out the worksheet to qualify. Easy to complete. It'll give us the pertinent information we need for us to find out if we might be able to help you and you might be a match for us to take your business to the next level. I promise you, it'll be worth your while. Thank you for your time.